Baba knows the way. For Joseph Baba Ifa, Baba knows the way. We follow the signs. He walks with the Orisha through sacred lines. He speaks with the ancients. He honors the drum. He carries the wisdom where we all come from.
Hey family, thank you for tuning in to Our Roots podcast with Joseph Baba Ifa. Where only the strongest roots see the light, brought to you by Botaniga Candles and more. And if you haven't had the opportunity, hit that subscribe button. What's up, Phil?
Hey, happy Sunday, everybody.
Sunday.
You good, man?
I'm good. I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah. This one's a different one.
Yeah, you know who it's about? The
goat. I mean, I'll give you a little sample.
Oh, man.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's here today! That's why he's the GOAT!
Okay.
I could only hope somebody could say such kind words about me one day.
Oh, no, they already say your praise, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Have you seen the comments? Come on.
Man. Yeah, I
right,
look
members?
At them.
Right?
I love them. I make sure I give everyone a heart.
Yeah.
But yes, family, no secret any further. Today's episode is Ifá and the goat. And I tell you, you want to talk about a more polemic animal within Ifá. There aren't too many positive things to say about the goat, to be frank with you. His behavior left a lot to desire. He usually was in conflict with somebody. Now, for anybody that's actually been on a farm, I'm there pretty frequently nowadays, and I don't consider myself a farm hand by any means. These guys are warriors, right? Like, you know, the farm that I go to, Phil, there's a gentleman there. He's in his 60s, and yeah, I'll be like, hey, I need a goat, and he gets his lasso, and this guy, like, he's running like 15 miles an hour, bro. Like, it's incredible. And he throws it, he yokes it up, he carries it and everything. I said, bro, if I'm anywhere near as healthy as this guy at 65, I'll be happy.
Man.
Yeah, these
straight up cowboy?
They're warriors, man. They're warriors. Straight up, Cuban, Guajiro, Hialeah Gardens. Like, you know, it's amazing, bro. But
okay.
When you actually look at a goat really, he's not a very nice animal. He might spit at you.
Scream.
He smells sometimes, you know. Yeah, that scream, I've heard it in person. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, I would say that's real?
No, God, no. Heavens,
Oh.
no. If a goat ever yells at you like that, you got to be careful. But I will say that the goat has a scream or a bellow that is scaringly similar to humans. Like, and you begin to look at some of the patakís that we're going to go over today. It's like, are you human? You know, but you know, they have their behaviors and things like that. But overall, it's not a really liked animal within Ifá. And then most importantly, it's probably why it's used so frequently in sacrifice. And we can go all the way back to the first odu, right, of Baba Ifa. And this odu, you know, it speaks of when Orunmila descended from heaven to earth, right? And they say that the first thing that he provided to Eshu was a rooster, which we've gone over before in the rooster video. But I must say that the most powerful sacrifice in Ifá may be the goat to Eshu, right? I might cover the female goat here as well because she doesn't have too many patakís as much as the goat, so I might just throw her in here. I don't know yet. But the goat to Eshu may be the most influential sacrifice in history as far as Ifá theology and mythology, because it was a sacrifice that over and over again changed the course of existence, right? And when we go back to Eyobe, Eyobe wanted to be king of earth and king of the universe, right? He had ambitions. But who was the incumbent, who was the one who was, projected to win, was his older brother, Baba Ifa, or Oragun. Now, Oragun had some interesting qualities, and one of them was that he had a very hairy back, right? And Olodumare called Ofumei to tell him to come back tomorrow because he was going to make him king of the world or king of the universe. And Ofumei was like, oh, okay. He's kind of like Nikola Jokic talking about basketball. He'd rather talk about the horses. Ofumei really didn't care about being king of the universe, but he was Olodumare's eldest and, you know, favorite son. So he said, yeah, sure, I'll take it. But Eyobe heard this and he said, man, and you could say it was unselfish, you could say it was selfish, whatever, it ended up working out. But Eyobe heard this and said, if this guy becomes king of the universe, we're doomed. Because Baba Ofunmeji had a couple flaws in his character. And one of them was aggressiveness, right? Irritability. But another was a lack of punctuality. You know, he was always late to everything, and he was a little unmotivated. And some people even said he might have had a couple habits that weren't ideal. So Eyobe realized that he had to save the universe. This is what he told himself. So he went and received divination, where Ifa told him to perform sacrifice with a goat. So the paperwork says that it was a goat at the ocean. Now, I'm sure Eshu was there. Olokun possibly, or more than likely was there, you know, definitely. But when the goat was sacrificed, they skinned it and they put it on Eyobe's back, right? And they said, you're going to show up at the crack of dawn tomorrow before your brother, and you kneel in front of your father. And he was like, okay. So the thing about it is Eyobe knew that Oragun would show up late because that was his character. So he showed up nice and early, and he kneeled in front of his father. Oh, also to mention, Olodumare was blind here.
Oh,
so
wait, how?
Well, it's just how the story goes, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe because that's really a great question, man. This is where, you know, about what I was really got to interpret.
Yeah.
If Eyobe is the light, he didn't come in contact with Eyobe until that moment. Okay. Eyobe was the Big Bang. Big Bang. Eyobe is the sun. Eyobe is the eyes. All of these different things. I mean, it could be a metaphoric point within the story to represent that all of those things came after Eyobe did what he was about to do. And what he did is he kneeled in front of his father and he said, Father, it is I, your son, Oragun. And he said, okay, let me put my hand on your back. And the way Olodumare would recognize Oragun was from the hair on his back, because he had a hairy back, right? And when he felt the hair of the goat skin on the back of Eyobe's back, he said, this is definitely my son Oragun. May the person I have my hand rested upon right now be the king of the universe. And it was done. Ding. And Eyobe left, and he said, nice. And the Big Bang happened, and the light came out, and all these wonderful things happened. And then Ofunmeyi showed up a couple hours late. And he kneeled in front of Olodumare and said, Father, it is your son, Baba Oragun. Please bestow upon me the blessing you promised me yesterday. And Olodumare was furious. He said, how dare you come back looking for another blessing? I just made you the king of the universe. You know, I curse you. And Oragun left the house crying, right? And he ran into Baba Luaye on the way back to his home. And he la Oragun. And Baba Luaye said, what's the problem? He said, no, I went to become king of the universe. I kneeled in front of the guy, and he said, you know, he curses me that he already gave it to me today. And Baba Luaye kind of looked up and saw Eyobe, the sun, at the highest point in the sky. So he said, I don't know what's going on here, but let me go talk to the old man. So when Baba Luaye went into the palace, he said, why did you curse Oragun? He said, because he arrived at the crack of dawn, and I gave him the crown of the universe, and he came back asking for another one. And he said, no, Oragun just got here, because if it was the crack of the universe, things wouldn't have timed up. And he said, well, who did I give the crown of the universe to? Who did I make king of the universe? And he said, I think you gave it to Eyobe. He said, I gave it to my youngest son. He said, yeah, and now you cursed Ofunmeyi. Now he became the youngest one. So Olodumare said, hey, my bad, but I can't undo it. So that's why, till this day, Eyobe and Ofunmeyi, you know, they don't really get along. It's where the youngest sign became the king of the universe and the oldest sign became everybody's junior. But the key point I want to make about this story is all of this happened because of the sacrifice of a goat. So literally, that's why I say it's the most powerful sacrifice. Whether it was Eshu who ate at the ocean with Olokun or if it was just Olokun, either way, Orumila always thanked, or Eyobe always thanked Eshu and Olokun for making all of that possible. So it shows how influential the sacrifice actually was. another odu that speaks heavily of the goat sacrificed is obeate, right, or obeirete. And in this sign, Orunmila had war with a witch doctor, right, or a shaman. Okay. Some people would say it was a Mayombe priest. I don't like to always lean towards that option, even though that's what the scripture says. It could have been anybody who was practicing anything left-handed, even though Mayombe is used for really positive things as well, depending on how the person manipulates it, just like Ifa. But for the sake of conversation, that's what it said in the literature, right? So the priest, or the palero, was doing a lot of witchcraft to Orunmila, right? And Orunmila was unaware of this. He was unaware that the palero had an issue with him, any of these things. So the reason the palero was doing this was because Orunmila was initiating a lot of people in the hand of Ifa. And in his mind, the palero felt that Orunmila was going to destroy his practice, which couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, there's enough people to go around. Everybody was initiating into different things. So Orunmila, feeling the effects of the witchcraft, had divination performed on his behalf. And when it was revealed with the Odu of Obeate, which was his own Odu, Ifa told him to perform the sacrifice of a very large goat to Eshu, right? So Eshu, seeing that Orunmila was on his way to the farm and all these other things, he didn't realize that the person who owned the farm where he would buy the animals from was a palero. So Eshu said, this is perfect. So Eshu transformed the palero into the largest goat on the farm. So when Orunmila showed up, he didn't see the owner anywhere. And he's like, that's so odd, but I need the goat. So Eshu pulled up and said, hey, where's my goat? And he said, I want to buy it from the guy, but he's not here. He's not working today. I don't know what to do. He said, hey, how about this? Let's get that big one right there, and let's ham it, and I'll square away with him tomorrow. No worries. And Orunmila said, thank you so much, because I want to get this done for you, because I really haven't been feeling well. And Eshu was like, I got you. So they yoked up the goat, and they sacrificed it to Eshu, and Orunmila didn't realize he was actually sacrificing his enemy. So, just really wild story, because, the goat, you're going to notice as we go through these various stories, he gets the short end of the stick, but he's kind of like, he puts himself in these situations where it's like, man, you're going to end up dying because of it, I just want to also take a moment to say I love curry goat and all that comes with it. There's a bunch of good Jamaican restaurants here in Orlando. I had some recently. Anywho, and, the goat telegua has to be my favorite meat within Ifa, by the way.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, goat is tricky, man. You have to really know how to cook it, man. I've seen a lot of different ways. The best goat I've ever eaten, ever, is my godson Ofunabes. He's a classically trained chef. He's a beast, man. I mean, when he cooks at the Ifas and stuff like that, like the brothers, everybody has a smile on their face, bro. He is such a beast. But I mean, it takes a lot of nuance and things like that, because it's a meat that you have to know how to clean and braise and all these different things, and it's definitely something that comes with time, and it's an art, but really, really good for you, and one that I enjoy quite a bit. But going back to that, the goat, and I kind of think about that scene in Jurassic Park where they left it out there for the T-Rex.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's right.
It's horrible, right?
Yeah.
But in the Odu of Baba Ifa, it speaks of this animal once again. And the goat, basically became Orunmila's enemy in this Odu. And Orunmila's wife was pregnant. Some people say he was married to Oshun. And Oshun was having pregnancy cravings, and these are top priority. So she said, hey, I'm craving peanuts. And he said, honey, peanuts are going to be a little bit difficult because the only person that grows peanuts is Olofing, and it's punishable by death if anybody's caught taking them, and he doesn't sell them. She said, oh, big man, want to have a baby with me, and you won't risk your life to get me some peanuts. Some father you are. So Orunmila said, man, I'm about to risk my life for some peanuts. So Orunmila, he got ready to go, and he went into the fields, and he started picking peanuts for his lady. So when he left the field, guess who was there watching him? It was the goat. And the goat said, oh, look, Mr. Big Bawalao stealing Olofing's peanuts. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. And Orula knew he had a very big issue on his hands because the goat didn't know how to keep his mouth shut. He was the biggest gossiper, which is one of the reasons he's always dying. So he went and he satisfied his wife with the peanuts, but he immediately performed divination and things like that to see how this was going to go. And he was like, man, I probably should have done this before. And the odu Baba Ifa was revealed, his own odu, where Ifa said that he needed to perform sacrifice once again with a goat to Eshu, right? By this time, the goat was already gossiping with everybody that Orula had stolen Olofing's peanuts. Now, Olofing kept very close tabs on his inventory, and he realized that, a huge portion was missing from a certain part of the farm that was closest to Orula's home. So he started believing the rumors, and he called or subpoenaed the goat and Orula to the palace to see or try the case. So Orula went to Eshu and said, hey, I want to give you the goat as much as you want to eat it, but you got to help me, handle this problem, because if not, I'm dead. And Eshu said, don't worry, we'll do it together. So what they did was they kidnapped the goat, gangsta, and they yoked the goat up. And the next day they brought him into Olodumare's chamber. Now, when he went in, he said, what is the meaning of this? They said, Your Highness, we caught this guy stealing the peanuts himself, trying to accuse Orunmila. So we tied his mouth shut to not sully your ears with his lies. And Olodumare said, Toi bangechu, kill him immediately. and Eshu held the goat, Orula pinched the goat, and bye-bye goat, right? But this patakí is very, very crucial when it comes to the practice of Ifá and the mythology, because in this patakí is identified why we tie the mouth shut of the four-legged animal before it is sacrificed, right? Because if it wouldn't have been for that process, Olodumare would have heard the goat's testimony. But due to Orunmila and Eshu's genius, they were able to avoid that and enjoy the protein source they most desired at that moment. But another thing that occurred as well, Baba Ifa is one of the odus that states why usually the Babalawo is the one who maneuvers and directs the sacrificial aspect of the Orisha process, even though that's debatable based on house. Do whatever your lineage does, of course. And then another thing was why Orunmila is identified as the dancer of heads. So Baba Ifa speaks of when Orunmila, and this is why Orunmila was such a lethal guy, because he was very astute. And he said, I'm going to get you at the end of the day. And Orula, trying to make the goat see reason and not be a gossiper to preserve all of their lives, was unsuccessful. And the goat continued with his gossip. And he ended up dancing with his enemies' heads in Baba Ifa, which is a process that's done after you sacrifice a four-legged animal, where, you move the head in a circular fashion. You do a couple steps of rumba, if you're me, and you place it on top, as a sign that we have dominated this situation and this animal for consumption. So all of those things manifested there, and these are part of basically our spiritual dogma, right? So very, very indicative stuff there. The goat, right? I mean, in the Odu Osaworiwo, or Osawo, or Osaiwori, it speaks of the goat as well. And the goat was actually best friends with the leopard, right? Now, mind you, Olodumare had told the goat, or Orunmila had told the goat as well, the leopard's really not your friend. You need to stop hanging out with him. Goats hang with goats, and leopards hang with leopards. But the goat didn't want to believe that because he grew up with the leopard and they were friends, and he didn't want to accept that this division was going to cause them to separate fraternally. But the goat did notice that the leopard started acting weird. Like he would catch the leopard staring at him in the bushes, or the leopard would be waiting outside his house, or the leopard would joke around and tap him with his paw. And he's like, man, he's never done any of these things before. Let me go see Orula. So when they did the divination, Osawori was revealed, where Ifa told him to perform sacrifice with corn and rocks, right? So the next day was actually the day that the leopard was planning on killing the goat and eating him because his instincts from a predatory standpoint wouldn't allow him to resist the urge any further. So they decided they were going to go through or take a stroll. The leopard invited the goat into the jungle. So the goat kind of realized, man, this must be the moment. But Orula didn't really give too many instructions on the ebo. And the whole time, the goat had a sack around his neck where he was eating out of it. So they were eating, they were talking, or the goat was eating, the leopard was talking, trying to distract him. And then right when they were about to go into the jungle and he was going to, go for the fatal bite, the leopard said, hey, bro, what have you been eating this whole time? Because the leopard wanted to know what the goat was going to taste like. And he said, oh, I've been eating rocks. And the leopard said, oh my God, this guy's been chewing on rocks like it's nothing. What is he going to do to me? And the leopard said, hey, I'll talk to you later. And the goat was like, oh, where are you going? What happened? What happened? Whoa. And the leopard got scared and left. But in reality, the goat had been eating corn the whole time. Just the leopard didn't see it. He just saw the rocks. So in that aspect, we're talking about an animal that's very smart, very tricky, right? The goat by nature, he kind of goes with the flow and things like that. But, it's why that odus says goats are around goats and leopards are around leopards. It's actually a very telling story where Ifá says, to get to the goal you're trying to be at, you have to be around the same person doing the same thing as you, right? But it was one of those moments of genius where the goat unwittingly was able to save his life and, intimidate the leopard. So that's in the odu of Osawori. In the odu of Baba Ifa, it speaks of when the goat and Orumila were best friends. And Orumila, was very kind to the goat and nice to the goat and all these different things. But he didn't realize the goat was jealous of him and was trying to do anything in his power to eliminate Orula, replace Orula, to the point where, some people say there are versions where the goat got in cahoots with death to eliminate Orula, right? So Orula started feeling like weird energy every time he would hang out with the goat. And divination was performed and Baba Ifa was revealed, where Ifá told him that, once again, he had to perform the sacrifice with the goat to Eshu. You can go all the way back to the Odu of Obeade, Eshu and the goat, or all the way back to Eyobe, really. Eshu and the goat, Eshu loves the goat. That's just it. So Orula said, but man, why am I going to sacrifice the goat? I don't have no proof. And Eshu, realizing Orula's mentality and realizing the goat's plan, set it up to where Orula was revealed that the goat was trying to have him assassinated. And when Eshu was able to reveal this to Orumila said, yeah, let's kill him. And that happened. So Baba Ifa is also one of the first odus where Eshu ate goat once again. Now, some people, you'll see this like Eshu the goat. Ideally, Eshu eats once a year, right, family? But we have to identify what it is that we're giving him on an annual basis. Now, the best thing you can give Eshu on an annual basis is the goat. But goats are costly. I actually don't remember the last time I bought one for like less than 170, and they can get, depending on the size, they can definitely go over 200 pounds, so.
Wait, for real?
Oh yeah, brother. Oh yeah. So like when we talk about the cost of Ifá processes and Orisha processes, the majority of the funds is for animals, right? I'll never forget, and just to keep this story appropriate, I one time had to give a ram to Shango during my yaoraje, because that's my guy. And I was running around Miami looking for it, but it was at either the end or the beginning of the year. When did I did Santo in October? Yeah, so it was around the end, beginning of the year. Within those first 3 months, I was going to get it done. But I'm running around Miami and I can't find a ram. So I end up at this one farm, like over there in Southwest. It was somewhere in Kendall, real deep. And there was like a couple farms around. And I ended up at this one after going to like one other one. So when I get there, I introduce myself. I start talking to him. And he's like, yeah, I got the ram. He's like, I got the last ram in the county. Oh. I said, that's a heavy claim, Guajiro. He's like, try me out. Go to the other farm. See if you can not only find one, but find one cheaper. And me being young, I said, yeah, I'm going to do it because Miami's Miami. So I went to like 3 other farms and they didn't have it. So I went back and he didn't even change the price on me or nothing. He said, hey, I'm just happy, I'm able to get rid of it. And I'll never forget, he pulled out a wad of hundreds like this, blue cheese.
No way.
And I looked, I said, Guajiro, how you make so much money? He said, selling animals, bro. I'm going to sell chickens till the day I go. So when we talk about, and mind you, this is to be understood, the animalero is our ally. Without the animalero, Ifa stops. So the Odu Baba Ifa says never negotiate the life of an animal with a number. So when I go, oye, that's your number, toma, and that's it. Because Ifa says when you haggle or negotiate animal prices, you become negative. You become ayewo. Like it curses a ceremony to a certain degree. And that's not peanuts neither to maintain a farm. Remember, these animals, they have to be treated. They have to be fed. They have to be washed. Like my animalero, he has horses, he has bulls, he has cows, he has, 100 goats. He's like his establishment is really, really impressive, man. And it's so clean and nice. And the big thing with me is I love to, invest in places that treat me well. So when it comes to business, be trustworthy, be likable, and be knowledgeable. And that'll usually lead to compensation. So for all the practitioners out there, please never forget those people have an overhead as well. Now, mind you, it could pay pretty handsomely, God bless them. But it also depends. Everybody's situation is different. I mean, Miami's a market that just, they're moving like 100 chickens a day. So it's not a bad business if you have a hand for it. I don't. I'm on the other side of the talent pool. But yeah.
So would the goat and the ram, are they interchangeable?
No, heavens no. No, two different energies. When it comes to animals, it really is about the energy the animal possesses, right? So when you look at a ram is all about victory, right? The horns, it's going to go to war. He's going to be loyal. He's going to be ethical. He's going to be moral. He's going to be strong. He's going to be all of these things, that exemplifies, that which is Aries, right? But then you look at the goat. The goat is really more fulfillment, satisfaction, things like that. Like usually the goat to Eshu is really a fulfillment, right? When with Eshu, we're constantly trying to have that communion and whatnot. And it also is really great for enemies, but from another angle, where the ram is more for like victory and accomplishment with enemies or not. The goat is really for like to get out of situations where you're in conflict with people, or to kind of eliminate the threat that they could pose. So that's why if you notice, every time Orumila was an enemy with the goat, he just sacrificed the goat. Where in reality, no one ever really wanted to sacrifice the ram other than Shango, because the ram knew things about Shango that Shango did not want the world to know. So, it's in reality the most honorable animal that we sacrifice in effectiveness. Now, it's interesting because there's a similar story in Babao Trupo Meji that speaks of when Shango went to war with his best friend, the goat. The goat, unfortunately, as you look through all of the patakís, he was a traitor. He was a gossiper. He really couldn't back up what he said. Like, he was constantly just falling into someone else's jaws, right? So, Shango and the goat were best friends. And the goat was jealous of him the whole time. That's why you got to be careful with them. Like, you'll look at a goat and you'll be like, oh, he doesn't notice me. And then if you turn around at the wrong moment, that horn is going right into your calf, bro. Yeah. Man, it's dangerous. And a farm animal will kill you, no problem. I mean, if it gets the right artery and stuff like that, that's why if you notice thick jeans, things like that, those brothers have an attire. Yeah. But the goat was actually being manipulated by the ram to kill Shango, right? So the goat fell into the trap. Shango found out about it because of Eshu, because Eshu wanted to eat the goat again with Shango. And the goat was like, the ram made me do it. And Shango was like, I'll get to him later, but you were the one that betrayed me because the ram, he wasn't my friend. So they ate the goat in Babao Trupo Meji. It's where Shango ate goat for the first time. So Shango doesn't only eat ram. And you asked about the interchangeability. If they were interchangeable, he wouldn't have eaten both, right? So it was one or the other. Also in this Odu, there's an ugly story about Bao Trupomeji that speaks of, the lack of self-control that the goat has. Like, for anybody that's been on a farm, animals, they procreate, and sometimes it's really aggressive, and the goat has to be one of the most aggressive, But in this Odu, it speaks of the goat family on the farm, and it was a mother goat, like 3 daughter goats and a son goat, right? So the mother loved the son goat. He's the boy. We love him. But what happened is that the brother goat would actually go and sleep with his sister goats, right? So obviously very taboo, very horrible. But the mother goat started noticing that the she goats were like in fear. Like they were that, she would notice certain things where they would sleep and whatnot. And she was like, something's not adding up here. Like my daughters are acting weird. My son's acting weird. Like I need to figure out what's going on. So one night she actually sent the daughter goats to sleep in a different part of the farm. And she was going to sleep in their bed, to kind of put things to the test. And when in the middle of the night, her son came into the bed thinking it wasn't her, and tried to be intimate with her, and she completely lost it, and she killed him. So, talk about a broken home, unfortunately. But it speaks of the behavior of the goat and how Ifa kind of viewed it, that to behave like a goat is frowned upon within Yoruba culture, and it's probably why he's always getting sacrificed and eaten. And that's in the Odu of Baba Trupomeji. Now, in the Odu of Baba Ifa, once again, where it speaks of Orunmila sacrificing the goat because of his gossipy behavior, Baba Ifa at one point actually was the youngest or the most junior Odu. He was number 16 of the Meis. But he didn't always want to be like that, so he wanted to move up a couple places. Divination was performed, Baba Ifa was revealed, where he actually sacrificed a goat to Eshu to be able to move up from number 16 to the spot he's in now. And the reason he did that is because after Baba Ifa gave the goat to Eshu, Eshu went to Olodumare and said, hey, I don't think this guy should be number 16. I think we should move him up a couple spaces. He's knowledgeable. He fulfills his oaths, his sacrifices, and you have a couple people ahead of him that really don't deserve it, and Olodumare said, you know what, you're right, and he moved Baba Ifa from 16 to the space he's in now. So once again, another example of how the goat, the sacrifice of it, was able to really move energy and things like that. That's why I highly recommend it. It is costly. It is an investment between the actual animal, the professionals involved, the process, materials, all these different things. But I will say that if you had to choose to do one thing spiritually within Ifa on an annual basis, try to have your elder identify an ebo within your sign of a goat to Eshu. I can't think of anything that's more productive, right? Because as you look in the corpus, you just see every time a goat to Eshu was sacrificed, or, a goat was sacrificed to, either Eshu or Ifa, it was just really, really productive. And it brought a lot of blessings and results.
Is that the most important animal sacrifice?
I think the goat to Eshu, man, it really, like, if the rooster was the first thing, and that's debatable too, but I lean more towards the rooster when Orunmila came down in Eyobe, because I don't know how he would have been able to bring a goat down. But then there's other versions of the story where he rode a goat down from heaven, so I don't know what to believe, And this is why, we just put forward the information, because no one knows, because nobody was there. So be careful with somebody who says they know for sure about anything in this, It's not about certainty, it's about coherency, because in times like this, the person I most suspect is he who is sure. In uncertain times, you can't really trust somebody that's always sure about everything, because either they're making it up or they're part of the problem, right?
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, and but yeah, it could have been. But I know that even if the rooster came first, I mean, the rooster sacrifice has never had the effects that the goat sacrifice has had. You know, and then you let's talk about the she goat real quick. I mean, you know, when you talk about Orunmila, that's his whole thing was the she goat, right? But why did he eat the she goat? He ate the she goat because one time the she goat came to consult with Orunmila, but she didn't really have funds, and Orunmila decided to do a charity case, or you know, to give it gratuitously to help her because she had kids. So when he did that divination, the Odu of Osar also was revealed, where, you know, he performed all of the rites and things like that, and he said, hey, pay me whenever you can. But the she-goat after that made a lot of money and didn't want to pay Orunmila. She was being treacherous. So the next time Orunmila saw her in the marketplace, he just said, hey, good morning, Eure, which is how you say she-goat. And she was like, oh, how dare you ask me for the money? Can't you see I'm a single mother with all these children? If you were going to rub it in my face anyway, you shouldn't have done anything for me for free. How dare you? And she completely embarrassed Orunmila in the marketplace. And Orunmila was like, what is wrong with this lady? I didn't say anything about the money. I just said hello. But Eshu saw that her heart wasn't pure and that she was chastising Orunmila unjustly. And he was like, now you have to die. So he kidnapped her and he brought her to Orunmila and told her, hey, this woman has been prosperous. She's had more than enough money to pay you and doesn't want to out of frustration. So let's eat her. And they sacrificed the goat to Ifa, the she-goat. That's why Orunmila prefers female animals, because all of the female animals were disrespectful to him, right? Whether it was the hens, whether it was, you know, the she-goat, you know, the female cow, you know, he ate all of them because they were the ones that were most frustrated with him for whatever reason. So, you know, that speaks of the she-goat. I mean, with the she-goat as well, I mean, if you look at the Odu of Osaure or Osa Eure, it means Osa is the she-goat. And it speaks of the story where Obatala's daughter, the she-goat, you know, was being influenced by witchcraft from her other family. And every time she would come to Obatala's home, she would enter into a state of mental instability. And because of it, Obatala, due to her aggressiveness, you know, told Ogun to sacrifice and kill her, right? Because he couldn't handle her anymore. And Obatala always felt bad about that, you know? But the she-goat is seen usually as erratic. Like, it was just an animal that, you know, no one could really ever figure out. Like, she was cursing Orunmila out one day. The next day she was, you know, she was attacking her father and trying to kill him. You know, once again, pretty similar themes, though, with treachery and whatnot. But then you also look at an Odu like Ikasa or Baba Ifa, where, you know, the she-goat gave everything for her children. So that's to be noted as well. I mean, in Ikasa was where the goat was Ikasa's mother, and he saved her life from being sacrificed to Ifa. That's why Ikasa really shouldn't be eating goat and things like that, and why goat is not usually offered to his Ifa icon. And then if you look at the Odu of Baba Ifa, that was where the she-goat was Orunmila's mother and allowed him to ride her all the way to Ife and ultimately use her as a sacrifice so he could become either king or the Oluo of that land. So, you know, it also speaks of the concept of what isn't a mother willing to do to see her children well. So you see the stark contrast. The he-goat was much more disliked than the she-goat, but the she-goat, she was very, like, you know, erratic. So it led to issues for her as well. I'll bring it full circle because there's a story that I really love, and it's there's two that have to do with a similar concept, but the one I really love is in Obewenye, where once again Obewenye sacrificed a male he-goat to Eshu, and from that, Eshu actually constructed the bata drums and used the skins to be the vocal part of the instrument, and he won the challenge Olodumare had proposed to see who had the loudest goat. and the loudest goat was the one that the drum made, right? Rather than the other ones just going like, bah, you know. But in the Odu of Obeyono, it speaks of the goat, right? And the goat, from a very early age, wanted to learn how to play the drum. But based on his initiation, he was told that that was going to be taboo for him, or it wasn't going to be convenient for him based on his destiny, and that he should avoid it. And if he was going to do it in a very discreet way. Obeyono says that always consider your competitors when celebrating victory. You know, I live by a philosophy. When you win, say nothing, and when you lose, say less. But not everybody knows how to apply that.
No, right?
You know, humility is really important, man. But the goat didn't want to hear all that. He wanted to, he wanted to vibe. So he started playing the drum and the drum and the drum and the drum. And one day he was invited to play for Olodumare, or God Almighty. And he was like, yeah, I'm there. So when he went, he started playing and playing and playing. He didn't perform sacrifice beforehand. He wasn't listening to his taboos. And Eshu was like, got him. And Eshu actually influenced his mind to break the drum. Like, he hit the drum on one side so hard that it actually, broke the skin that was used. So everybody was like, oh. And the goat was like, oh, I will fix it. And Olodumare said, no, the problem is the drum has a curse. Whoever breaks it has to give their life to be able to fix it. And once again, Eshu swooped in. He's like, I'll take care of this for you, Your Majesty. And he killed the goat, he ate it, and he made the new skins. And that's why it says, Chivo que rompe tambor con su piel paga, right? Or the goat that breaks the drum will pay with his skin, right? So if it wasn't for the goat, we wouldn't have the bata drum. We wouldn't have a lot of things. But once again, this was basically Eshu and the goats episode. If you take away nothing else from this family, try to give the goat to Eshu every year, and your life is going to be great. I always tell people when I give them Eshu, make him your best friend. His friends are those who feed him. His enemies are those who want to see him starve. And as long as you take care of him, things will not get worse. So it at least provides some consistency and stability, allowing you progress and prosperity to accomplish other goals. So can I hear the goat noise one more time?
Which one? You want the guy or the actual scream?
I'll take the guy. It pumps me up. Yes, sir.
That's why he's everything.
Yes, sir.
That's why he's the goat.
Borui Boya. Oh, man. All praises to Ifa. Tell me about my members.
You know who else is the goat?
Oh, the goats. The goaties.
Our members, man.
Yeah, man.
That
La
was
cabra.
Great episode, guys. If you liked it, make sure you hit that like button. And if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share it with a friend who you think could benefit from learning a little bit of stuff. But if you want to know more, you guys can join our membership program. It's real simple. Click that button right under the video. Takes you to a magical spot where we give you guys some extra perks, man. That's like extra shows, merch discounts on courses, or random goat noises.
Oh, man. You don't have to pay for those. We'll provide those free. It's a perk.
Yep. So we have, today I'm going to show our second tier, which is our premium super fans.
Love it.
So these fans, Mike, there you go. These fans have been around for a while, actually. Our average for premium super fans is a year.
That's wild.
So the average they've been with us for quite a while. So
thank you so much, guys.
Spotlighting. Here we go. We got Gina Quinn.
Okay, thank you.
We got Hot Lana.
Hot.
We got CJ Villa.
Okay.
We got Ray Valentine.
Thank you.
We got Jay Lee.
Okay.
We got Bomani PS.
All right, Bomani, appreciate you.
We got Wolf.
Okay.
We got Joaquin Mendez.
Oh, blessings me. How?
We got Goddess Diana.
Okay, go ahead.
And rounding out that, we got No BS 42.
Oh, that's a candidate for great name right there. Because, if there's going to be nothing of something, it should be BS, right? But,
right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sound it usually is accompanied with. Guys, thank you so much for watching, right? BotanicaCandlesandMore.com is up and running for all your service and product needs, where you can order things, as well as set up appointments for consultations, coachings, interpretations, etc. If you can't watch us on YouTube, be sure to listen to us on all the podcast apps. We're everywhere, and we're doing very well there as well. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. A big thank you from all of us here at Our Roots Podcast. And until next time, family, see the light.
Baba Joseph showed the path today. Baba knows the way, we follow the signs. He walks with the Orisha through sacred lines. He speaks with the ancients, he honors the drum. He carries the wisdom where we all come from.